A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to this afternoon's edition of Scoreline. Of course, a show that comes live to you every Saturday and Sunday right here on KTN News. My name is Lynn Washira, and as it is the norm today, we will be looking at the sporting headlines. That is everything that has made headlines over the week, what is making headlines currently, and what we do expect to be making headlines over the week. And we kick off in Spain, where Michael Olunga opened his Spanish La Liga goal account with a hat-trick in Girona FC's 6-0 win against Las Palmas. The Harambee Stars striker scored 3 goals in a span of 22 minutes to aid Girona to 9th place in the La Liga table, following a massive win over bottom place Las Palmas in a one-sided Spanish La Liga match. Olunga opened his goal account in the 57th minute to double Girona's advantage after Christian Astuani had given the host the lead from the spot in the 25th minute.
It's Stuani, and that's emphatic. L's in the foot and Girona lead. Easily beyond 2 players. Lovely cross, what a goal! Super stop, Borja Garcia, and it's all over for sure now. 3-4. Olunga, and the goalkeeper's taken a touch, and Olunga's taken it off him and rolled it into the back of the net. Deal with this one, or I should deal with it, but he hasn't, and they're in again, and Porto is away. He's got Borja Garcia, he doesn't need him, he makes it. Luis round the back post, kept out, must be the hat-trick. It is the hat-trick for Michael Olunga. The half-time sub has come on, and he really has put Las...
And while the World Half Marathon reigning champion Geoffrey Kamworor yesterday won the 12 kilometers Kenya Police cross-country title in a tightly contested affair that was held at the Ngong Racecourse, and here are the results.
The National Police Service Cross-Country Championships took place today at Ngong Racecourse in a star-studded race that included World Half Marathon and Cross-Country champion Geoffrey Kamworor, World 1500-meter champion Elijah Manangoi, and 3-time World champion Asbel Kiprop. Kamworor, who missed last year's championships due to illness, was keen not to let this year's championships evade him as he led the race with more than 200 other men chasing him. With 2 kilometers to go, the World Half Marathon champion pulled away from the pack to win the race in a time of 29 minutes, 11.2 seconds. Josephat Bet finished second, while Emmanuel Bet closed in on the 3rd place. Stacey Ndiwa emerged victorious in the ladies' race, ahead of Beatrice Chepkoech and Ruth Chepngetich, who finished 2nd and 3rd respectively.
I got a morale when I was being in front a bit from Kamworor. That's make me to get a morale to finish the race well.
Elsewhere at Nairobi's Uhuru Gardens, the Kenya Prison Service was also conducting its cross-country championships. In the men's race, the battle was between Cornelius Kangogo, Mangata Niwa, and Wilfred Kimitei. Kangogo, who is a 3-time Holy's Road Race champion, reigned supreme in the race, cutting the tape in a time of 29 minutes, 4.01 seconds. Magata Ndiwa was 2nd, while Wilfred Kimitei finished 3rd. In the ladies category, Alice Aprot emerged the winner ahead of Selfin Chespol and Viselin Chepkesho, who finished 2nd and 3rd respectively.
Bia leo imekuwa mzuri kulingana na ile mazoezi ambayo nimefanya. Nilikuwa nimejiandaa kabisa ya kwamba niweze kukimbia championship yetu ya prison ili niwe miongoni wa wale ambao watachaguliwa.
Leo haikuwa mbaya vile. Nashukuru Mungu kwa kuwa nambari ya kwanza. Manake unaona ni mwaka mpya, tuko mwaka mpya, na kuanzia mwaka mpya vizuri si kawaida kwa kila mtu.
The National Cross Country Championships will be held in February in Nairobi. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
Kenyan athletes are right there getting ready for the Africa Cross Country Championships that will be held in Algeria. And shifting gears to some rugby news now, Kenya Cup defending champions KCB continued with the unbeaten run in the Cup this season after defeating Homeboys 26-6 in a top-of-the-table clash that was played at Ruaraka Sports Grounds. Homeboys began the match on a high, taking a 6-0 lead courtesy of 2 converted penalties. The Bankers, however, got themselves back into the game with a converted penalty penalty, and a try from Darwin Mukiza and Davis Chenge. The Bankers kept their momentum going as Darwin Mukiza converted 3 more penalties before Stafford Abega got the second try of the match to give KCB the win. In other matches of the day, Kabras defeated Kenya Harlequins at 22-13, while Mwamba was 74-3 winners over Mombasa. The match of pitting the Kenya Cup champions KCB against Homeboys being the highlight of day 5, or rather round 5 of the Kenya Cup matches. And now let's have a look at how the standings look. Do remember that Mwamba RFC managed to get their first win of the season in Mombasa yesterday, and having a look at how the standings look right now, defending champions KCB with a total of 24 points unbeaten this season. Kabras Sugar, who are former champions, Kabras there with a total of 23 points. Impala RFC, who lost to Kabras in the other season, they're at position 3 with 20 points. Homeboys, who lost yesterday to KCB, dropping to 4th position with a total of 20 points. Remember, it's a round of 5 matches. And at number 5, Kenya Harlequins with a total of 17 points. And Nondis are right there coming in at position 6 with a total of 12 points. Just a point adrift of Nakuru RFC, who are positioned 7th, ahead of Black Blood, who have only 9 points. And that's how your standings look like after day 5 of the Kenya Cup round of matches. And Mwamba, who managed to get the first win of the season in Mombasa yesterday, right there with just 7 points, coming in 9th. And closing in the top 10, Strathmore Leos, right there tied at 7 points with Mwamba, who have more bonus points. And we have Kisii RFC, newly promoted Kisii RFC to the Kenya Cup League this season, making a very good account of themselves at position 11 with just a point. And Mombasa at position 12 with no point at all. And that is how the standings after the round 5 of the Kenya Cup rugby matches look like. KCB remaining on top, of course, courtesy of that thrashing over Homeboys. And now to some football news, where early in the week we got to speak to the Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa to give us what the Federation will be prioritizing this season. And here is that interview. You're obviously starting the 2018 season on a rough note, 120 million deficit into your budget.
It's actually just about $500 million shillings of football in a snap. So it's definitely bad news. There's no status, there's no sugarcoating this. So that's a battle we have to face now. I think that we have stated our position. We need this money for the game. You have seen the grassroots we are doing. You have seen all these things, beautiful things we're doing, coaching staff, grassroots. That money, a lot of it was going into that.
So how then is FKF planning to take care of that deficit so as to make sure that the programs run on smoothly?
There is no other way. Government has to pay for this. We're talking about the youth of Kenya, 2,000 of whom were trained for coaching in the last 2 years. 2,000 that have to be trained starting end of this January. And whose funding now is not there. We're talking about an under-13 league that started last year that made 36 young boys be selected across the country in 43 sub-branches.
And away from the SportPesa sponsorship now to the year 2018 calendar, well, of course the highlight of the year is the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. But what's FKF's plan? What are the priorities?
So we're lucky because we have some time for the coach to actually dive in the details. And I think he has demonstrated that he can do this. So what we want to do is we're going to be calling up players. We have looked at the local players. The coach now will have a good idea who he wants to get involved. He is looking very deeply in the foreign-based players. So we'll have a look at that in March. Again in June, we're going to set up a camp, perhaps in a foreign country or something like that. Play some 3 matches in readiness to take on Ghana. We're going to bring Ghana here, and I can promise you Ghana clash. We will give it, there'll be nothing that happened in football in Kenya like the Ghana clash. In order to qualify, we have asked for $4 million. All right? We have been promised it's going to be done. We need $4 million to support that team in the journey to qualify for the Cup of Nations. This is camps. This is medical. This is the things the coach needs to do to make sure we are ready. We are on the same level as Ghana. When we recruited the coach, that was the assignment. And I think he has said this to you guys. He is a coach that is living on the edge, on bonuses, based on qualifying.
And so newly appointed coach Paul Pat comes, wins Sekafa. Then does that give you a feeling that probably the office took too long to replace Stanley Okombe?
I think that when I went to campaigns, I sat with local coaches and I asked them, what do you think is a problem? And on many occasions they said, give us the job. You guys keep trusting guys from out there. Give us the job, Lynn. And you would remember, if you go and look at your file, you remember, give us the job and we will deliver. And so we gave them the job. I'd say that they created the base for us to land on.
It was without a doubt a good thing for Harambee Stars to win the Sekafa tournament that Kenya was hosting late last year. But do you have a feeling that you over-celebrated the achievement?
I don't think we over-celebrated. Since 2013 is the first time that we're doing something deeply positive in Kenyan football. So I think it's fair for those who love the game to celebrate it. But you haven't seen us after that. What we use that to do is use the positivity to talk to partners and say, look what we have done with the little we had.
What's the plan and what is in it for women football this year, considering that actually FIFA funding is more on women than on men football?
FIFA has picked us as the country with the highest growth for women football. And so we're going to do a very interesting pilot project for women football with them this year. So they're going to invest in it again. Not to forget the fact that we have challenges around the women game. So the leagues, we have to do more. But I think if you compare to where we were 2 years ago, where we are today, and where we're going to be in 2 years, I think that you're going to see Japan is interested in picking up some of our girls. They've actually told me they're looking at Corazon Aquino going there and going to school, but also playing in their league. And you know, Japan is big in women football.
Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendo is speaking to us about the plans the Federation has for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers as well as the women football. And we now shift gears to some hockey news where the Kenya Hockey Union held its general elections yesterday. And here is a look at some of the elected members. We had a Nation Randiek right there winning, or rather retaining, the presidency with a total of 12 votes, beating Singh Matharu, who was hoping to eject a Nation Randiek who has been in office. So Nation Randiek remains as the president of the Kenya Hockey Union with 17 votes cast yesterday. And Deputy President Mel, the post going to Michael Malungu, who garnered 14 votes against Bernard Mwangi Waweru's 3 votes, with the total cast votes being 17 again. And Deputy President, a female, we had Doreen Otieno losing to Elina Sifuna Shiveka, 11 votes to 11 votes to 5, with total votes cast 17 and 1 spoiled vote in that contest. And Secretary General, we had Wycliffe Ongori Momanyi beating Thomas Olal to 11 votes to 5 votes. Again, total votes cast being 17 delegates taking part in the Kenya Hockey Union elections. And Deputy SG Priscilla Jean Louise was unopposed after Jacqueline Okumu, who was earlier in the contest, withdrawing, and so Priscilla becomes the Secretary General. And Godfrey Bila, they are losing by just 1 vote to Ruth Wangeshi Gashuhi in the Treasurer's post, with total number of votes cast being 17 delegates once again, and Deputy Treasurer Singh Syed Fahata Shah coming in unopposed. And that's how the Kenya Hockey Union Executive Committee looks like currently, after the union held its elections yesterday. And now we move on to some chess news, where Daphne Amwikali beat Sash Mongeli in the 4th round of the second phase chess Olympiad at KCB Sports Club yesterday. The victory ensured Amwikali had 4 points going into the last 2 rounds of the tournament. Jane Wambugu found the going tough after she drew with Gloria Jumba in another match. In other results, Winfred Thuito defeated Lucy Wanjiru, while Aurelia Chuma was victorious.
Chances are high that this time we'll perform well, because in the past we have had an ambush, I can say. But this time we are preparing early. By February we'll have a team, and we'll invite a GM coach who will take through the team to training. By the time the tournament comes, we'll be very, very well prepared.
And Scoreline will now take a short break, but do stay with us. We'll be back shortly with more sports.